change has to start somewhere. It starts with you, and it also starts with your mind. The better job, starting with that, better relationships, better life, period, overall. But with that's all good and said and dandy, but, how do you expect to go out and change your mindset? How do you take back and reclaim your happiness, or start living a fulfilling life and inspiring life again? So a lot of things is that people just want answers, and they don't want the answers from themselves. They want the answer from someone else. They just don't want to recognize in their own self that there's a problem. And that is a situation between a lot of people, that we don't want to recognize that we have problems. We just want to say, get the answer from someone else, and if it doesn't go right, that's the thing. So first thing we have to do is diagnose that there is a problem. What is exactly wrong with our minds is one of the things in the beginning. We have to find out what exactly is wrong with your mind, and how can we fix those issues. And who doesn't have problems? That's just part of the deal. We all have problems, and, not to alarm anyone, but there's a lot of wrong with our minds, so don't get it alarmed like you're not the only person. I myself have problems. I just have to learn how to manage and figure them out. But don't worry, it's fairly common. And it's part of the sign of the times, It's just one of those things that we go through and get things going. I can guess that most people aren't completely happy where they are right now. Most people don't like themselves right now, and that's really a bigger issue too as well. But where I was before, when I was in Chicago, south side of Chicago, I could have had many excuses. I could have had all the things in the world. But one of the things is, before I started my career as a coaching consultant, I had no place to go. I didn't like the place where I was at that time. I did not like it. I did not like the fact that I was doing the 9 to 5. I really did. I just despised it. It was something that I didn't like. But I found a way, and there are points and times in my life that I did not like myself. So, those things came about in my life, and I got help for those things as well and stuff. But it was something that I had to come to terms with, If you are doing what you love right now, that's great. Good. But if you're not, then, there's something that you need to understand. It could be working better for you, maybe, or then you might just need to change something overall. So we're going to go through some points I'm going to have some starting points that can help you precisely see what might needs to be changed. One of the biggest things, and there's going to be a few points in this, but the first point that I'm going with today is responsibility. The first problem that most of us have is we don't want to take responsibility for our actions, and we don't want to take responsibility for anything. That's just how it works. It's the taking and the wanting of the responsibilities that no one said. One of the biggest things you have to do is look within yourself. You have to look at yourself and be honest in what you do and what you say to yourself. I remember when someone used to say, you can lie to me, but you can't lie to yourself. And that's what a lot of people are doing these days. They're lying to themselves, saying they're responsible and all this stuff, and they're really not. They're not really responsible. We all know people who don't like to take responsibilities. They're the ones that blame each other. They blame others. They make excuses for what they've done. They're the people with the external locus of control that I discussed earlier in the previous podcast. Again, internal locus of control is that responsibility for your quality of life and your accomplishments. So those people have the external locus of control. But that may seem like an irritating problem for everyone around them. It's irritating. It's just an irritating problem. The reality is that there's a much deeper issue that affects them more than it does anyone else. Some things that people need to learn to do is to own it. It's okay. I made a mistake, and learn to move on. But many people can't do that, and that becomes a bigger issue, y'all, because that is that denial of I can't, the denial of change. You know what I mean? I don't want to do this. I don't want to take responsibility. But completely refusing to accept responsibility also means that you also reject your own autonomy and your control, which is terrible. Man, that's just bad. You know what I mean? You don't want to take control of your own life as well. Those people who don't believe nothing is their fault, or that you can't really take credit for anything that goes well either. So, I mean, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? But moreover, it's just, moreover, that it means that you don't have any power over your life. It means that you can't choose to change things. It's not up to you, it's about change. And let's think about that. We always want to have control of our lives, like in football or in any sport. You want the ball, or you want control with you on there, because I put money on myself. I always bet that I will be the best person to do anything. I want that ball at the last 10 seconds of the game, or the ball at the last 20 seconds of the game, or I want to take that last shot because I know I can make it. That's taking responsibility. That is you saying, I will make this happen. But a lot of people want to leave their lives up to chance. And if you understand what chance is, the word chance as a noun is the possibility of something happening. But to use it as a verb is to do something by accident without design. That's what you setting your life to be It's just things are just happening because you just want it. It's just happening because the universe is saying this should happen. The universe has its place, and you have your place to make sure that you can control something, but you can't control everything. And I understand that. But it gets worse. If you are too used to avoiding responsibility, then the chances are that you will avoid taking responsibilities for other things in life too. So that means that you'll avoid commitments to people, other things like that. It may seem that you're free, like, oh, I'm free now. I don't have to worry about these things or whatever. But in the meantime, all those things are happening. You're getting left behind. People are settling down into relationships, or finding fulfilling careers, or they're making things happen, or making the money they want. Now, don't get this confused with focusing on your goals and making a better situation for yourself. Don't get that confused, because when you are focused on a goal and making better situations, so sometimes you have to leave those things behind to get where you want to go. But this is about the responsibility of actually taking on those issues and stuff like that. So it means that you put yourself forward for fewer tasks, maybe in your workplace and maybe in just in life in general, but at least those tasks that have any major consequence. So you really don't take the consequence. You don't take anything that's huge. You just take the things that's, I can do this and I don't have to worry about it. So you have some people in life that they just do the minimum just to get by. They're just doing minimum, and that is a really bad situation. Because if you aren't responsible for large amounts of money or large amounts of things, whatever, then you can't expect to get paid large amounts of money either. So one of the things is a quote from Napoleon Hill. He says, "Big pay and little responsibility are circumstances seldom found together." And if you get that, come on, you can't ask for $1 million, but you can't budget $1,000. You know what I mean? Why are you that? That makes no sense. But being afraid of responsibility will eventually make you look less impressive, decisive. Your confidence in the day-to-day scenario, everything is just played down. And most people, that's how they live. That's just how it is. When someone asks you to make a decision, you won't want to do it because you won't want to make that responsibility because it happens. You don't want to be the person that fails. You want it to, if something goes wrong, You don't want to be that person. And how many people we know like that? These are the people that are scared to fail. It's the fear of failure. You know what I mean? How many people you know like that? You know what I mean? They have all the great ideas and, you know what I mean? They're not motivated, but they want you to put all your time into their dream. So if you do that, then they want to take the benefit of it, but you put the work in. And you know what? Unfortunately, life has made it all too easy for us to learn this lack of responsibility. We're sheltered by technology. For the most part, life has become much easier. We're making life a lot easier, and we don't have those tough times anymore. So most of our childhoods have now been extended to a massive degree of, especially in this current generation of youth, that these days, you stay out, you go to school to 18, you go to 2, 3, or 4 years of college, whatever it is nowadays. And that was standard at one point. At some point in time, people were doing that was a standard in my generation, not for a while. But now, depending on the amount of qualifications we obtain, and then now you get that, and now you throw a gap year in there, and then there's some time like, I need to find my way in life. I need to figure out what I want to do in life. I want to, I want to go take a sabbatical somewhere, and this, that, and that. And then many of us don't start their degrees or start a career until they're like mid to late 20s. You know what I mean? Now it's even going later to the 30s and stuff like that. And that has been amplified by the economic crash of the last decade. Many people were leaving like colleges and stuff to struggle to find work, which left them without workplace responsibilities and stuff like that. So there's a generation now that people are still living with their parents and things like that. So you have the people, the previous generations previous of that. They were likely to be married homeowners, had children at some point, and yeah, think about it. Living at home, still getting a good meal, not paying bills, you know what I mean, living up under the parents, you know what I mean, you got your room, things are easy. And, you know what I mean, who wouldn't want that life? A lot of people want that life, I tell my daughter, you want to be grown, but you don't want these grown problems. These are grown problems. You don't want these problems, and that was the funny thing I would say. But it's hard to ditch that mentality. It's hard to stop being a perpetual child. You have to learn to grow up and do all those things as well. But there's positive sides to it. It's good for creativity, for dreaming, and for enjoying in the moment. But ultimately, life will catch up, and you will not be prepared. You won't be prepared. We have now to deal with our mentalities are very soft, and it's hard to cope with the challenges that do come up in our way. We've lost the ability to be decisive, strong, action takers. I remember the days when we used to be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it, I'm going to make it happen. Now we're not doing that. We're kind of just sitting back. We're more passive aggressive than anything now. And the good thing is we can change this. This is all about us changing. What can we do to fix it? We need to explore more in depth. I will give more in depth in the podcast as we keep going further. But to acknowledge the key to the acknowledgement is that you must learn to accept the possibility of a less than perfect outcome. Accept that there will be times where things will go wrong, and it's your fault. And when that does happen, be willing to put your hand up. I admit it. I messed up. That's me. And that's being a grown up. That is actually growing up. So that's what it means to be an adult. You're taking on issues and problems like that, but you have to admit that when you are wrong, you are wrong, and when you're right, you're right, and that's nothing wrong with that. And that will give you the strength to start taking more chances and be more bold in the decisions that you make on your own life. So let's get that together and start understanding that. Let's take responsibility of our own actions first. Let's have that internal locus of control and go out there and get the things that we really, truly want versus what chance has given us. And I'll talk to you later next time.